Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Engage Employees with Ownership. Delighted to have all of you here with us today. So you've got myself, Kathy, on the call, and Ellen is here. Ellen does business development with the Center for Coaching Solutions. So very excited to have an opportunity to talk with you. We've got 30 minutes planned and looking forward to some great information. A couple of you did submit questions in advance. We do have the questions, and we'll pull those up during the webinar. And those of you that have additional questions, you are invited to type those in on your control panel. I will be monitoring questions throughout and feeding them to Ellen so that we make sure we cover everything you do want to know. Very much looking forward to supporting you as you advance with your work and what you do with coaching. Ellen, please take over.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and welcome everyone. We very much appreciate you taking time out of your rich and full day to join us for this very important topic. Our agenda today, okay, let's do that, is first we're going to talk about disengaged employees, how focus groups can create awareness, coaching for strategy to engage employees, coaching for implementation and adjusting the plan that's created, and then coaching for accountability and results. And then finish up with some resources for folks as for this topic. For our purposes today, this is going to be our definition for an engaged employee. The state of being attracted, committed, and fascinated. I love the fascinated part, that they are just so fascinated about what they're doing at their job. So the goal of having an engaged employee is they have an attitude of I get to work here instead of I have to work here. Here are some statistics. 1 in 5 employees, about 21% of your workforce, are engaged on the job. 8% are fully engaged. That means that 71% are either partially engaged or partially disengaged. Partially engaged means they're just phoning it in, just doing enough to get by. Partially disengaged means that you've got a toxic employee on your hand. They are taking others down with them as they go down the unmotivated path. Organizations with less than 25% employee engagement average 62% more accidents. And that means increased costs and lower productivity for your organization. Also means higher worker compensation premiums for those companies, more time that HR has to spend on managing claims and getting folks back to work rather than on higher priorities such as vision and strategic planning. You've got employees out with lost time, that's lower productivity, and it also means employees are careless. They just honestly don't care. Here are the top issues for disengaged employees. They are unaware of the company goals and strategies. They have relationship issues with the management. There's a lack of trust, a lack of involvement, and a lack of recognition. A recent study by Chris Zook at Bain shows that only 40% of the company of the workforce knows about their company's goals, visions, priorities, values. That means that 60% of this workforce don't know why they're there or how their work contributes to the overall success of the company. The lack of trust in their executive or management level is a huge issue for disengaged employees. They don't believe their senior management has a sincere issue in their well-being. This was found by a study done by Towers Watson. Another study done by Roger Herman says 75% of those voluntarily leaving their jobs quit because of their boss. Not because of their job, they quit their boss. Now, here are some statistics on lack of involvement. 69% of U.S. employees are either not engaged or they are actively disengaged. This is found by Gallup. Pretty much the same findings by the Global Workforce Study. And a key issue also is the lack of recognition. Towers Watson in that same study found that 43% of highly engaged employees receive feedback from their manager at least once a week, and it's only 18% of employees with low engagement get any kind of feedback from their managers once or more a week. So lack of recognition, also a huge issue. Huge number, $11 billion lost each year to employee turnovers. Disengaged employees are actively job searching, and they will do this while they're on company time. Disengaged employees, only 27% believe they impact customer service. Only 19% believe they impact cost, and only 27% believe they impact quality. This is a study done by Red Prairie Corporation. That means that between 70 and 80% of your workforce don't believe that they have any connection to these three areas. And remember,
Helen, there's a question that feeds into that. This
Excellent.
is let me share this. It says skills for coaching up. I am not on the management leadership team. Would like to influence some of their decisions and ideas. That's a perfect example of what you're talking about. Here you have someone that wants to be involved. They want to be engaged, and they're unsure of how to do it. And so the coaching skills, yes, they work up, as well as involving management in coaching their staff. You've got staff with coaching skills that know how to engage their bosses. So it's an excellent question, very much in keeping with what you're saying here. In terms of answering that question for that individual, love to invite you. One of the resources at the end is on coach training. Love to invite you to check that out. So Ellen, excuse me for jumping in with that question. I just thought it was a great fit. Please go ahead and take back over.
No, you're right. This is that's a great spot for that question to slide in. The other thing about coaching is that it not just improves communication and influence up the chain and within a team or department, but also across the organization as well. You know, many organizations have problems with cross-function, teams engaging where they think they're actually trying to achieve opposite goals, when it's really much more about we need to be all pulling in the same direction. So coaching can absolutely impact that area as well, Kathy.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the customer service metric, I want to remind folks that for every unhappy customer a company or organization has, that unhappy customer takes 8 to 10 other folks down with them. So customer engagement is a huge issue. So the impact of disengaged employees. The down arrow says it all. Customer service and satisfaction, safety, productivity, innovation, attendance, retention, profitability. All of these areas drive right to your organization's bottom line. Here are some statistics that came from a study called the Employee Engagement, the Evidence. On customer service and satisfaction, 51% of disengaged employees agree that their customers think highly of their products and services. That means that 49%, about half the workforce, don't think the customers like the product or are satisfied with the services. On the safety, we saw that statistic early where folks, an organization with lower engagement and exponentially higher accident rate. The productivity is a combination of attendance and efficiency. Here's a statistic for efficiency. A call center with high employee engagement had 35% less downtime between calls. It worked out to like as though they had one extra person working every day. Innovation. Only 3% of disengaged employees say that work brings out their most creative ideas. That's not a good statistic. Attendance. Engaged employees take an average of 2.7 sick days per year. A disengaged employee will take an average of 6.2 sick days per year. Retention. Huge issue for organizations, retaining good employees. The bottom 10% of disengaged employees had twice the voluntary turnover. And profitability, companies with high employee engagement had 2% the annual net profit of companies with low employee engagement. So engaged employees raise all of these levels. Disengaged employees lower these levels dramatically. So we're going to take a different look at this. Let's pretend we're talking about your company's computers. What would leadership decide to do if only 20% of the company's computers worked properly? What if 60% were also unreliable? And what if 20% did not work at all or are infected with viruses that are spreading throughout the company's network? That would become a very high priority for the company, correct? So the companies with the best employee engagement understand that engagement is a very high priority and they take action immediately. This is a very dramatic way to look at employee engagement. You know, if the computers aren't working, folks are going to get on that right away. So that might be a helpful way to shift a paradigm way of thinking at your organization. So disengaged employees, here's the critical part. And Kathy has sent me another question, that she's got another question. Can we hear that? She thinks this is a good spot for it to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one said, what is the most important factor that affects employee engagement?
And this is absolutely it, Kathy. You're correct. This is the best spot for this question. Until each employee understands why the organization exists, what the vision and the values are of the company, and the role that he or she plays in his or her job, disengagement will continue. They have to know how all of these pieces fit together. Otherwise, they just feel like, you know, the gerbil in the little wheel running around, working real hard, not getting anywhere. They don't understand how their work or their contribution matters. They need to understand how they add value to an organization.
Yeah, and the follow-up question with that is, how can we determine its effectiveness over time?
Oh, okay. Well, that leads us right into the next section, Kathy. So great. Love these questions. Focus groups are an excellent way to discover the real issues and begin figuring out the plan and the strategy and designing processes to quantify outcome. To say, you know, well, this was then, and here we are now, and we're going to walk through this. But there's definitely ways that focus groups and coaching can help bring all of this to light and figure out the next best steps. So the purpose for focus groups is to really discover the issues behind the disengagement, because you can't fix anything until you know what's broken. And to know what's broken, it's vital to talk to the people involved. It is way too dangerous to make assumptions, and the focus groups provide real insight into what employees are thinking and how they are feeling. Remember, we are head and heart machines, so very important to know what people are thinking and how they are feeling. Both of those areas need to be addressed. Focus groups involve employees from all areas, because I know in every company there's at least one department who feels they are like the scut dogs of the organization, and nobody cares, nobody asks us. People just tell us we are not valued, we are not included. So a focus group will help tremendously with that issue. Everybody's input is valued, and it's part of the uncovery process. Need to uncover the real issues so that the best and most effective solutions can be developed. If the real problem is not uncovered, then you are simply treating the symptom and not the actual problem itself. It's like trying to cover you know, a huge cut with a little tiny Band-Aid. Might fix it for a while, might stop the bleeding for a little while, but it is not going to stop the spread of infection. It's not going to heal correctly. So when each person is heard, understood, and part of the solution, then each person is engaged. Again, part of creating the attitude, instead of having to work here, they get to work here.
I love that expression. That is so awesome.
I know, you know, and you do. You want folks, you know, their feet hit the floor in the morning, and they're like, I get to go to work today. I get to figure out this problem. I get to work on this project. I get to talk to my customers. That's what you want. So focus groups will gather data from a wide variety, as many diverse perspectives as possible. The focus group also provides structure for a targeted conversation and outcome. It's not therapy. It's not folks just kind of venting. It's very much about where are we now, where do we want to be, and how are we going to get there. It is very much results and outcome focused. The focus group also allows for consensus building and realistic planning, and this is because everyone is involved and all the issues are taken into account. So coaching for strategy, the first and most important part is to communicate the big picture so that everyone is pulling in the same direction. You need to include the major points. Once the issues are identified, you know, certainly priorities have to be established, but everything has to be included. You may have to do this in stages. Can't do everything at once and decide, okay, this is what we're going to work on first. So, for example, the first 2 months, we'll work on clarifying our corporate values. The next 2 months, we're going to work on how to convey our corporate values to all of our stakeholders. And so that picture has to be communicated throughout the organization. So even, you know, the folks answering the phone understand and convey that, can convey that to anybody at the other end of the line. With and this also goes back to feedback as well. With feedback, employees understand how they add value to the team, the department, and the organization. And here's a great quote that I love from the Society for Industrial and Organizational Psychology. Effective and timely coaching can make the development and implementation of a business strategy less daunting and more successful. And these are two things everybody wants: less daunting and more success. All right? So, circling back to our first question, the two most important issues for employee engagement: employees must know the organization's purpose and how their role supports that purpose. Coaching also shows employees that leadership cares enough to invest in the coaching process, that they are investing in them by spending time, money, and effort on getting this figured out and making sure everyone is included. And it increases ownership by the employees because the teams and individuals create the plan for themselves. It's not something done by leadership, you know, who go on a 2-day retreat and they're off-site and they're hidden away and they come back and it's just kind of shoved down everybody's throat. This is developed by and for everyone. Coaching for strategy ensures new and existing competencies lead to quantifiable results. Solid metrics are put into place. So something like, we want to be better at this is not a goal. It's, we want to increase profitability by 12% at the end of this quarter. So real statistics that can be measured. So that drives back to the second part of our first question about how we measure. The goals have to have specific numbers, metrics involved, rather than just, we want to do this better. Better is not quantifiable. So, and we also want to, the coaching for strategy will increase management practices that lead to a positive impact. And that drives back to the second question about how employees and mid-level managers can help to create a coaching culture by showing management that it works with their team. It also maximizes outcomes. Coaching is all about alignment of vision, direction, plan, and outcome. And the results are strategized or formulated so that they lead back to the organization's missions and values, and the goals are set by each team and individual. So coaching for implementation and adjusting, the first is go back, develop, and communicate the plan. And once that plan is developed and communicate, you have to walk the talk. This is crucial. If a company communicates a plan and then does not take action on a part of that plan that was communicated, engagement goes down on an average of 10% on that area because the employees have lost trust again. Remember, a huge issue with disengaged employees is lack of trust. So if you say you're going to do something, it's got to get done. Can't say, oh, we're going to implement a wellness program for our employees by the end of the year, and it's, January 31st, and there's no wellness program in sight. Folks will just go back, oh, see, they're just talking. They, sounded great, didn't it? But they're back to their same old, not caring about us. Coaching for implementation and adjustment creates an outcome-focused process. And this is, going to have built in steps to kind of check in. How are we doing? Where are we going? Are we moving in the right direction? Are we making the kind of progress we'd like? And it also helps develop leaders for greater effectiveness. They communicate more effectively. And coaching is all about defining success, developing goals, and establishing a timeline to reach those goals.
And Ellen, another question,
Sure.
and in response to some of what you're sharing. So profitability is a lagging indicator. What would a leading indicator be to know that coaching and organizational alignment are ultimately driving the results?
I'm so sorry, Kathy, you were breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat that question?
My apologies.
That's okay.
The question is, profitability is a lagging indicator. That comes after the fact. What is a leading indicator to know that coaching and organizational alignment is ultimately driving financial results?
It's shown by several things. One is that productivity goes up. Productivity increases, efficiency increases, absenteeism goes down, staff turnover goes down. So all of the metrics that you want to go up, you'll see them going up. All of the metrics you want to see going down, start going down.
Well, yeah, and I think what it amounts to is you've got to measure the before and the after. So yes,
absolutely.
Profitability is a lagging indicator. It's also what is the level of profitability now. Then you have your coaching happen. Then you measure the profitability again. Now, of course, your challenge is how many things are you changing at one time? So what percentage of responsibility does the coaching have for this factor? I think some of the statistics you shared are a great starting point. Okay, this is what we know based on the research, and there's a lot of insight just in those studies in terms of how they're measuring. Ultimately, for an individual organization, it's knowing that before and after impact.
Absolutely. That is a key part of any kind of training or organizational change or shift, is where are we now? That assessment absolutely has to be done so that any kind of movement on those metrics, whether good or bad, up or down, can be measured. If they're going up, then you know you're doing something right. If they're going down, then we've checked in, it's not working, we need to adjust, we need to change, we need to take a step back and reconsider. Absolutely. Great.
Right.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
So this all drives back to efficient process development, you bet. Effective communication, coaching for implementation and adjustment helps create clearer goals and expectation setting, and it also builds greater consensus and buy-in. Coaching for accountability results. Coaching for accountability and results means that productivity, loyalty, and retention increase exponentially when each person is engaged. And that's why it's important for everybody to be heard, understood, and included, because that's what gets folks engaged. Everybody takes ownership of the situation and the solution. Again, drives back to, instead of I have to, it goes to I get to. And then the coaching piece creates accountability for identified areas of improvement, because you do want accountability and you do want to be able to measure results. And so the coach works with the individual and the team to develop the goals and then assesses, have we met the goals? Are we on our way to meeting the goals? If not, why not? What's not working? Let's make adjustments. Where are we? This is where we want to be. How are we doing on getting there? And coaching is all about focusing on results. This is where we are. This is where we want to get to be. So engagement links directly to high performance and productivity. So with highly engaged employees, 72% believe I can positively impact customer service. 68% believe I can positively impact cost, and 84% believe I can positively impact quality. They are no longer phoning it in. They all see how their efforts tie directly to the success of the organization, no matter how far removed they may be from customer service or product quality. They see directly how their role, even how far removed it is, directly impacts the success and the feeling of the organization. And these are statistics from the Red Prairie Corporation. So here are some resources available. We offer two. At the Center for Coaching Solutions, we can provide one or more of our coaches to facilitate focus groups within your organization to start working on employee engagement. The Center for Coaching Certification can help you, your managers, and or your leaders be a resource for your organization and create a coaching culture by going through the coaching program there. Oh, did not want to click, sorry. At the Center for Coaching Solutions, we have coaches for many different areas of needs and issues within an organization. Let us know your needs and we will match, let us know what you are looking for and what you want, and we will match you with a coach who is a solid fit for you and your organization. We offer a free 30-minute consultation. This offer is good for the next 24 hours only. So if you're interested in hiring a coach, you want to connect with me. If you are interested in training as a coach or training others in your organization as coaches, you want to connect with Kathy. And here is our contact information. Please do be in touch. Please reach out. We would be delighted to have a conversation with you. And please let us know how we can help you with your employee engagement. Thanks so much for joining us today. Any other questions, Kathy, before we wrap up?
Well, I'm getting a lot of people are saying thank you. I've got a couple of people who have asked in various formats, will they have access to this information later? So I'm going to share with everyone. I will post the recording of today's webinar on YouTube, and I will be emailing out a link to that to everyone. And in that email, I will include our contact information, how they can reach us easily to get that 30 minutes scheduled. So thank you for your feedback, everyone, for the thanks and the comments we're getting, and thank you also for your interest in further access to this. So we do look forward to being of service.
Well, thank you, Kathy, and again, thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thanks all. Take care.